Vladimir Putin met in the Kremlin with Patriarch Kiril of Moscow and all Russia, and Patriarch Porfirije of Serbia. The meeting was also attended by Chairman of the Department for External Church Relations Metropolitan Anthony of Volokolamsk and Metropolitan Irinej of the Serbian Orthodox Church. We will see here that the leaders of the Serbian Orthodox Church and the Russian Orthodox Church claim that human morality in the West is the work of the devil. Putin, however, disagrees, stating that the West is founded on Christian principles. At the same time, in this conversation, neither the Russian Church nor the Serbian Church mentions the destruction of Ukraine resulting from the aggressive war initiated by Russia, the destruction of civilian infrastructure, the kidnapping of tens of thousands of Ukrainian children, or the current state of human morality in Russia. More information on this topic can be found on the referenced YouTube channel. The Catholic Church publicly and openly opposes political trends in the West that conflict with Catholic morality, such as abortion, gender ideology, and global conflicts, and even during the Second World War, it produced martyrs, such as Aloysius Stepinac, documented in this book in English. In this meeting, we also see that the Serbian Orthodox Church opposes peaceful protests in Serbia against corruption, despite 60% of Serbs supporting the protests. Thus, the Serbian Church aligns itself with the Serbian regime, standing against the will of the people, while simultaneously claiming to speak on their behalf. Interestingly, both Putin and the leader of the Russian Church agree about the positive role of Pope Francis, an eminent figure representing Western human morality, while leader of Russian Church states that Pope Francis is in heaven. Pope Francis warned pro-war Russian Patriarch not to be Putin's altar boy. The Serbian Orthodox Church agrees to include the Serbian people within the concept of the Russian world, asserting that the Serbian and Russian peoples are essentially the same. Croatia experienced tensions with the Serbian Orthodox Church during the 20th century, especially around the breakup of Yugoslavia, this Serbian Church being the supporter of expansionist Serbian war aims. Additional details can be found in these two videos about the breakup of Yugoslavia. The contemporary Serbian perspective on earlier history is evident here. Therefore, it is important to understand the mindset of the Serbian Orthodox Church, which views Croatia as part of the West, in which human morality is the work of the devil. And even at this meeting, Serbian Church appears to support expansionist Serbian policies toward Croatian territory. We will read the transcript of the meeting, which illustrates this Serbian Orthodox perspective. Vladimir Putin.
Your Holinesses, allow me to welcome you to Moscow and also in the chambers. The atmosphere here is so special. We are delighted to see you. I know that the Serbian Orthodox Church makes a significant contribution to strengthening the relations between our peoples, who traditionally maintain the warmest, closest, and most trusting alliance relations. Let me wish you a happy Easter. This is our common bright holiday. As I have said, Russian-Serbian relations have always been special, even today, because we are bound by strong and deep spiritual roots. We are always happy to see you. We are looking forward to seeing the President of Serbia in Moscow for celebrations of victory in the Great Patriotic War. We know that the situation in the Balkans is challenging, and we also know about your efforts to strengthen Serbia's position, including the importance of the All-Serbian Assembly that you held. We are always glad to see you. Welcome.
Patriarch Porfirije.
Mr. President, excuse me, but I will say a few words. I do not speak Russian very well but understand it perfectly. Metropolitan Irinej, who is here with me, speaks fluent Russian. Thank you for receiving us, and happy Easter. Christ is risen. I hope that the resurrection is our path and reality, a fact of our faith. This means that victory is known and it depends on the will of God. We must do what depends on us. I would like to thank you for everything you do in terms of values, because it is impossible to live without the foundation of values or ideology, not ideology, as you said, in terms of psychology, but in terms of intrinsic values. Everything depends on faith, our life, our words, and other things are determined by how strong our faith is. You know, and you said yourself that relations between our churches have always been those of affection and involvement in the Russian and Serbian churches. I think it goes on today, too. Is that so?
Patriarch Kiril.
It is.
Patriarch Porfirije.
In the past, my predecessors, patriarchs of the Serbian Church, have always had connections with patriarchs of the Russian Church. My predecessor, His Holiness Patriarch Irinej, used to say, "We, Serbs, need," what did he say?
Metropolitan Irinej.
He used to say that our small boat sailing rough seas must always be tied to the great Russian ship.
Patriarch Porfirije.
I wanted to say that we feel and believe that this is true. I have to say this for you to know, and you already know, but I should repeat that the Serbian people consider themselves and the Russian people to be one. Sometimes it may be that Serbs put more hope in Russia and Russia's policies than in Serbian policies. This may be paradoxical. 2 weeks ago, I was in Jerusalem, where I had abundant conversations with the Patriarch of Jerusalem. He did not know that I would go to Moscow. When we were talking about the global orthodoxy, he told me, "We, the Orthodox, have one trump card." I asked, "What is it?" "Vladimir Putin," he told me. These words say it all. I should emphasize that we are grateful for your support and position on Kosovo, the Republika Srpska and, of course, Montenegro. There are our people and our church there. You know very well that without your support and China's support, well, I do not know what would have happened to Kosovo. I was there on Easter to serve the patriarchal service. It is the capital of the Serbian Patriarch. We are asking you to adhere to this position and do everything possible, because without Kosovo and, I can say it, without the Republika Srpska, the Serbian people have no future regardless of politics, regardless of people, regardless of the news. Of course, we have very good relations with the President, and he sent you his regards and told me that he would come on May 9th, regardless of the situation in Europe. Our position concerning Kosovo, the Republika Srpska, and Montenegro, I believe and sense that it also depends on the stance of the Russian state, the Russian Federation, at the global level. The desire of myself and the majority within our church is that, in the future, should there be a new geopolitical demarcation, these lands would remain closely within this Russian meteor.
Metropolitan Irinej.
Within the Russian world.
Patriarch Porfirije.
Yes, within the Russian world, within the Orthodox world. We have spoken with His Holiness the Patriarch about orthodoxy. It is no simple matter. We, too, are experiencing a revolution these days. What is it called?
Metropolitan Irinej.
The color revolution.
Patriarch Porfirije.
A color revolution, you are aware of this. I hope we will overcome this trial, as you remarked. For we know and feel that centers of power from the West do not wish to nurture the identity of the Serbian people or their culture. Thank you for your words, and may God grant you strength and wisdom. Our prayers are always with you, and I trust the Lord will help.
Vladimir Putin.
Your Holiness, you spoke of identity. This is the work of the Church in general, and of the Russian Orthodox Church under the leadership of His Holiness Patriarch Kirill of Moscow and all Russia. His Holiness the Patriarch devotes great effort to strengthening our traditional values and spiritual foundations. Whenever we meet, we recall and speak of our Orthodox brethren. This reflects the position of His Holiness the Patriarch. I am certain he consistently raises these matters in his discussions with you as well. Your Holiness.
Patriarch Kirill.
Mr. President, I am greatly pleased that this meeting has taken place and will continue. Among all the local Orthodox churches, the Serbian Church is the closest to the Russian Church, in culture, in language. Even historically speaking, our nations have never waged war against one another, and when conflicts arose, they were always side by side against a common adversary. This love for Russians, for the Russian people, and for the Russian Church is organically woven into the culture of Serbia and the Serbian people. Thus, they are our closest friends, our brethren, in spirit and in terms of life's philosophy. This carries profound significance, both when we jointly address challenges and when we gather on inter-Orthodox platforms. The Serbian Church is the church closest to us. I say this not merely because the Serbian Patriarch is seated here, but because it is the truth. If we look back at history, the Serbian people and the Serbian Church have never betrayed Russia. Some Slavic countries, I will not mention them, under the influence of strong militaristic Western forces, changed their focus for a while, repented later but still changed it. The Serbs never did that. This love for Russia is, arguably, part of the genetic code of the Serbian people. This finds its ample reflection in relations between our churches. We have remained of one mind at all times. Whenever discussions arise on inter-Orthodox platforms, we always feel the support of the Serbian Church. Here is what I would like to add in this regard. As fate would have it, Serbia lies more to the west than Russia. The Serbian Church comes face to face with the Western world, which can and has effectively provided a lot of useful information in scientific research and culture. However, things that are happening to human morality in the West today, I will say it out loud, there is nothing to be ashamed of, is the work of the devil.
Patriarch Porfirije.
Yes.
Patriarch Kiril.
Why devil? Because the devil wants the man to not see the difference between good and evil. No difference at all. There is an alternative behavior. The Church says, you shall not do that. And the Word of God says, you shall not do that. However, modern secular culture says, why not? Anyone is free to do what they want to do. It is just a matter of free choice. This kind of approach destroys the moral foundations of human existence, which can lead to horrible civilizational disasters. Because if this integrality of human personality gets destroyed, everything collapses eventually. The Russian Orthodox Church, as you are aware, relies on these positions, and we uphold it on international platforms. However, we, too, need good allies. Of all the local Orthodox churches, I am not saying this because His Holiness is here today, but I speak from my own experience. The Serbian Church is the church that has always stood with us. And Serbia is the country that has never betrayed Russia. I will not mention other Slavic countries that came under the influence of strong political and military forces and lost good relations with Russia for some time. Serbia has always stood with us. That is why today's meeting makes me so happy. Those present here today at this table, including His Holiness and Metropolitan Irinej, are indeed the spiritual leaders of their people. I am aware of the good relations they hold in their hearts towards Russia and towards you personally. Therefore, for me, today's event is profoundly uplifting as we all gather together. I hope it will yield positive developments in relations between the Russian Orthodox Church and the Serbian Church, and between Serbia and Russia.
Vladimir Putin.
Your Holiness, you mentioned the events unfolding to our west. We are all well aware and have witnessed your meeting with the Pope, who departed from us during these Easter days. This, I believe, also signifies that in the West there are still individuals, forces, spiritual forces, striving to restore relations and revive spiritual foundations.
Patriarch Kiril.
Quite so.
Vladimir Putin.
Western culture, whatever some may claim, is rooted in Christian principles.
Patriarch Kiril.
You have quite rightly recalled the late Pope. He was a man of fairly firm views and convictions, despite being subjected to considerable pressure, including regarding the cooling of relations with the Russian Church. Now that he is in heaven, I may confidently quote him without seeking his permission. When he was severely cornered, forgive the blunt expression, he uttered only a brief phrase, "Do not set me at odds with Kirill." He then turned and walked away. His immediate associates exerted influence upon him, arguing that a change of course was necessary, claiming this was linked to Russian policy. This phrase, "Do not set me at odds with Kirill," remained constantly in my memory and consciousness while he lived. Our relations were cordial. Now that the Lord has summoned him to heaven, we cherish the fondest memories of him, both in terms of his attitude toward Russia and toward the Russian Church.
Vladimir Putin.
I share this sentiment. We met with him on multiple occasions. It is entirely evident, I can state this for sure, that he was well disposed toward Russia. Considering both his Latin American origin and the prevailing sentiment among the overwhelming majority of citizens in Latin American countries, he undoubtedly sensed this as well, and cultivated relations with Russia in the most benevolent manner.
Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave your comments below. Please note that not everything in the transcript is historically accurate, and we do not necessarily endorse the views presented in the transcript, read in the video. For example, Serbia was not always aligned with Russia. In 1944, the Red Army invaded Serbia at the request of Josip Broz Tito and committed crimes against the Serbian civilian population. Additionally, during the Cold War, many Serbs died along the border between Yugoslavia and the Iron Curtain. Russia also did not veto the NATO bombing of Serbia at the end of the 20th century. The purpose of the video was to depict the Orthodox mindset and present the official stance of Russian President Vladimir Putin, and to illustrate the Croatian perspective towards Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, where this ideology influences Croatian security.